Okay,
Yay.
welcome to another Silver League stream. So much fun, yay. My name is Viral, with me is Urtai.
Not
And
numbers. I'm so happy.
I thought you said you didn't want me to give you numbers. But anything,
That's what, yeah.
first, here tonight we will be streaming HU versus Checkmate, which could possibly be, whichever team wins tonight could be the team securing 8th place. So I don't know if you brought it up yet, Urtai, the Silver League standings. Um, But the race looks really close right now between like what is it? 4th through 10th, so like 6-7 teams. But it's actually not as close as it looks. Intensive and Lincoln Brigade 11th and 12th, they actually both play top level teams going into the end of this, so it's doubtful that they will actually pick up any points. Not to mention the fact that Hugh and Checkmate, someone will be getting points tonight. And if whoever gets points basically automatically knocks Intensive and Lincoln Brigade out. So technically, yeah, the math says they can get in, but the chances of that's happening isn't going to be happening. And then another thing that you can't see here is because there's 4 teams that have been disqualified from the league or stepped down from the league for whatever reason. Z Foxy Baddies, Tomato Stealers, Pathetic Gaming, and Spaghetti Slappers, they all have technical victories left in their season, so they will all be getting like a free 3 points. I think one team gets a free 6. Um, and yeah, so really there's only 3 teams left fighting for that 8th place spot going into these playoffs. That's Checkmate, Tactical YOLO, and Hugh. Checkmate and Hugh, they play tonight. That's who we are casting. Then Checkmate goes on next Tuesday to play Get Flanked, and Hugh goes in to play Danger Close. So that they're going up and playing the number 2 and number 3 teams. So it's unlikely that they will win those games, but who knows? Maybe they'll pull some stuff out, and either one of them can secure themselves the last playoff spot. But it's really looking like this game here is going to be deciding which one of these teams has the possibility of going on to the playoffs, because Tactical Yellow is still also in the running, but they have 2, I would say, more difficult games left. They play Z Foxy Baddies tonight, and they play Tomato Stealers as well. So that's 4th and 5th. So they have a tough schedule ahead of them over tonight and Tuesday. And yeah, so
Yeah, the standings, yeah.
really,
Sorry for not bringing those
yeah.
up earlier. I had issues with, as the stream can see, with Checkmate's team, or the name just vanishing, so I had to redo it. Anyway, it's done now, so it
Okay.
should work.
So the maps for tonight are Muravanka and then Ruinberg, with the tiebreaker being Sand River. And now you should see up on the screen is a wonderful map of Muravanka, where we've been trying to do the system where we try and highlight like key areas of the map for different teams. But on some of the maps it works, on some of the maps not so much, just because there's so much like flexibility that teams have. Like Muravanka, it's honestly this really open map that the attacking team can kind of do whatever they want. Um, they have so much flexibility in what they can do around the map. It's crazy,
Well,
really. So we would lose our minds if we tried to sit here and draw out every spot and nook and cranny. So what we've identified here, or go ahead, Urtai.
I mean, it's not so much like you have everything you can do on the map. It's certain angles you can attack from, I would say. You have basically the north from orange kind of positions you already pointed out, and then you have the 2 capture plus, kind of defense, denying a vision of 2 cap from
Yeah, and then
attacking
you have
team.
all the buildings in the middle.
Yeah, I
All the
mean, then
buildings.
it's the kind of the, yeah, like I said, the building attack,
Yep.
trying to get in either under or, yeah, putting maybe cap
Yeah.
pressure on 2
Like
and
there's
then
just so
buildings
many.
and then just trying to woodland them in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's so many angles and different shots that you can get between these buildings that it's honestly a little bit crazy if you're trying to sit here and mark down every little thing. So what we've done here is green is generally the position that the defense will take up. These little green squares here, those are the passive bushes that teams will use. This green 1 area here is generally where the defensive team will throw their heavy tanks. Green 2 is where they will generally throw an SDB1. And then you have the K3 area there, which is green 3, which you can have it'll be just supporting medium tanks, and then for the attacking team, they'll either they could honestly spread themselves all out across the map. They could be all the way down by the purple 2 along the red line there. They can have tanks back in the magical forest there, just on the edge, putting sniping shots out and throw someone on Cav, or they can go up into the north. Like, there's so much you can do on this map.
Enough of that. We actually got a battle though.
Yes, and one last comment. I don't know if the strat sketch is still up, but there's gray lines there. Okay,
hold on. I can put up really good. Right, so gray lines. What about them?
Okay, now we're going back to strat sketch. Okay, you're gonna miss the first little bit. The gray line, they're basically the effective way of countering out the whole one cap. If you can swing one medium, two mediums, just a small little group out over to the east being the defense, you can get shots back onto the one cap. They're even blind shots. Those are the
right. That was the gray lines. Somewhat.
Okay, now into the game, and what we have here for Hugh, 1E100, E5, Action X, 2 140s, T22, and a 1390. They will be starting on defense. And for the attacking team, we have Checkmate bringing 150B, 2 E5s, Batchat, STB, TVP, and 1390. 50B is an interesting choice from the attacking side. 330 APCR, that's nice, good sniping gun. But also, kind of a bigger surprise coming up from the defense is that E100.
I mean, I would. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's easy to pan, and it should be easy to pan for everybody. Frontally or wherever you want to shoot it from. Everybody has enough pan to, first of all, pan it just frontally in the gun turret, or if you don't have the angle, you can just pan it at the track wheels if you're not shooting with heat, of course. But if you're shooting with heat, you usually have enough pan to, at a smart angle, possibly pan the lower plate of it. It's kind of, I don't know, Checkmate is a lot split here, so I'm guessing they want to pull Hugh more or less towards the north there, towards their heavies. Then have the mediums come in and take control of the south part of the map. Possibly bring in 1 or 2 mediums. Or yeah. Possibly, picking up the 2 Hue mediums sitting in the back here, and possibly 90 though.
Yeah, I mean, they're really split out here. Actually, are they just going to be derping those mediums across? They're coming in with a lot of speed, all grouped up. Let's head over and check that out.
Yes,
because they might just be... I feel like it was a feint from them with the E5 kind of getting lit there, maybe trying to draw some more attention towards the north, as they're just rushing these 4 medium tanks all the way across the back red line here. They're going all in, not stopping, and not that much punishment's actually come out. I mean, the Batchat's taken 2, 3 shots now. He might go down before he actually gets into the fight, but he's now down into the hills, so he's relatively safe. And the rest of the mediums got across without really taking any damage. So this will be interesting now that Checkmate has those heavy tanks coming up in behind, but they're split, and it looks like Hugh's going to be taking advantage of that.
I mean, Hugh just need to push one of these groups and gather up everything they have and then push one of them. And they should hopefully, if they can get out from the fire of the one of the sides very quickly, they should get out ahead.
Yeah, and the Batchat goes down there for Checkmate, so it'll be interesting to see how much damage he got out, because it looks like Hugh took 2 different fights here. I mean, they're up 2,000 or 1,500 now. Now 2,000 hit points. The 100 shell just came in. It'll be interesting to see how much damage he put out, because it looks like Hugh decided to try and take both fights here, and surprisingly, it looks like
they are kind of winning.
They've won. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of HP
still
up
2,000
at the moment.
HP.
Looks like the 50B is at the moment reloading. Felipe seems to be able to winning the fight against Kama. And the 1390 in the back is clipping TVP. It's he should have his clip up most likely, and is in a bad position though. Cannot really help from his position at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the TVP, it looks like he's just coming off a reload there. Philippe, he was never really in any kind of danger from the 1390 because of how much armor the T22 has, and this is just going to be Hugh sitting here mopping up the TVP for the next, I don't know, 5 seconds, however long it takes for them to reload. Oh, there we go.
There we go. I don't know, interesting from Checkmate. I mean, it could work. I think they just need to be more aggressive, trying to focus out a tank earlier. Really wanted the mediums in the back, and then yeah, I mean that's pretty much what they need to do. Damage-wise,
yeah, go ahead with the damage numbers, and then we'll get into the strat sketch stuff.
nothing, I guess. I mean, a decent damage out of most things. I guess Raphidos got okay. He did not get focused out. He got 11, so that is. I have no idea. Maybe it was blind shooting, I guess. Although 6 direct hits with 1 pan is. It's not good. Anyway, strat sketch.
Yeah, here, I'm just going to switch this over to the blank one. I mean, what happened there was Checkmate just coming in, setting up their heavy tanks here, and then bringing medium tanks all the way down. They waited about, I would say, a minute, 30 seconds, 2 minutes into the game before they just YOLO'd out across along the red line here. They kind of showed this 1E5 up here. He got lit once, and I guess they were hoping for Hugh to try and shift a little bit more north in order to try and, I guess, take that fight head on. They were trying to bring their medium tanks around behind, which didn't really work out too well for them because they split themselves up so much, and it just allowed Hugh, who took up the standard defensive positions, which was just tank here, heavy tanks up and along here, with supporting tanks here. And they just, I mean, they left 2 tanks back here to take this fight, and then they just pushed with their other 5 tanks up and over, and they basically just killed off the 2E5s and the 50B almost for free. I mean, they didn't really take too much damage. They won the fight in the south somehow, and
I mean, they did the right thing. They pushed one of the groups. I would say the correct group. They put a heavy group in the north, which is better, more cover. I do. So yeah.
I mean, one thing we commented on before was how some of these maps just aren't really like, and Silver League teams are forced to play these maps. They don't get to sit here pick and ban like we do in Gold League. So what I really got the feeling of there was this really isn't going to be Checkmate's map. So I wonder if they will be able to pick up a round or two here at all before heading off into Ruinberg.
I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting view on the map. I mean, it can definitely be done. It needs to be a little bit more coordinated from Checkmate's side on the different groups. And what tank and what are they trying to actually do with it? And it kind of just looked like they wanted to take positions for position's sake. Anyway,
okay.
Hugh seems to be really aggressive here with 2 STBs going in under the hill while taking a E5 onto cap.
They're gonna take a bit of punishment here from Robes. They're using the building right now to kind of give themselves a little bit of cover. They spotted Dorzier out, but he might end up going down. He's pinched between the 62A and the STVs, and yeah, his problem right here is the building that he was trying to use. It has these arches, which stops you from sliding your tank in right underneath them and getting hard, like right up against the building for cover. So it's more just meant to be buildings that are kind of shitty cover. Yeah, I mean, Hugh being very aggressive here. They left the 1390 and the Action X up in the north, getting shots or trying to control the top of the hill with the angles that they have. But the E5 and the 50B, mainly recognizing that they can swing around through the base there, use the buildings as cover, save themselves from the 62A, who was up there in the north. Has he come back over?
The 62A is probably looking for shots. I think he should try and play more aggressive than he's doing, though, to get more aggressive shots and force Checkmate to do something. It looks like Checkmate is actually going to jump over, though. Tango seems to be the first focus fire from them.
They were more just waiting for the 50B to come in. He's going to take a lot of punishment here. He's the focus fire target, but he can still take about 3 hits before he goes down. And they're going to pick up the first E5.
Moving up the map.
They're kind of caught in the crossfire between the Action X and the rest of the team, but it's going beautifully in their favor right now as they're up 2,000 hit points.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, good focus firing targets, and Hugh not in the position at all to counter that push in. STB's
Yeah.
out of the fight for at least 1 to 2 shots. It might still make. They're probably a little bit too much HP behind to make a comeback from this.
Yeah, they're too much HP behind. They've lost too many guns at this point to really make any kind of dent. I mean, they'll probably be able to pick up some damage going into the end of this, but it's going to get cleaned up by Checkmate here.
Yep.
Now, I just want to quickly take a second. I'm going to hop over to the Wargaming Fantasy website because if I remember correctly, Muravanka is the most unbalanced map in the league from a standings wise. Actually, no, it apparently out in the early stages of the season with 768, Muravanka had like a 70% defensive win rate versus like a 30% attacking win rate, but now going into the end of the season, it's a 54% defensive win rate, 56% offensive win rate. So the map is now appearing to be more balanced than what it was early on in the season, but when you're dealing with these lower level teams, those early standings, those early statistics that you saw or that we saw coming out of Gold League is going to be reflected down into the lower levels because they aren't going to be as good at attacking, and the defense will be much easier for them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if these teams might actually split here, going 2-2, where they will both pick up their attacking round, or not attacking round. They'll both pick up their defensive rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I would say if you're not a really good team, it is probably more favored towards the defense this map most of the time.
Yep.
Anyway, though, damage scores. Kama began up a really nice score in his STB, almost 3,500 damage. Other than that, I mean, 2.8k is actually good. Anything over your tank's HP worth is actually really good. So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, back to I don't know if there's much to talk about this one in Starsketch.
Yeah, I mean there wasn't really as much to talk about really. One of the problems with the strategy that Hugh ended up running there is when you push so many tanks up this close to the base of the hill, it becomes very easy for the enemy team to push over, derp, and just kill your tanks. The most you'll ever really see there from a Gold League team is two tanks, and that's because you want to be able to punish the enemy for trying to do that stuff. And if you have 4 of your 7 tanks up in the front, then you're really going to struggle, especially when one of the tanks off in the back was a 1390, which can't really snipe. You had a 62A who was on the backside of the building, buildings, or I actually think he was transferring down through the south, going along the red line. So there's a bunch of crap between him and the tanks that pushed over. So the whole problem with Hugh's attack there is they had too many tanks too close to the enemy in a way that they were separated simply because they couldn't get enough cover from the rest of their team.
It's not the separation, it's that the defending team can jump on who, and without having to move the turrets much, or do anything, they can just keep on focusing out tanks while moving and keeping as a group. Anyway, third match has started, and we have a tiny bit of a different setup again from Checkmate.
Oh, okay. Well, solo cast. I'm bad.
I should try and remember you every fucking time, shouldn't I?
Yep.
Solo cast. All right, so we actually have 4 heavies from Checkmate this time. An E100, 3.5s, a T57, then 2 mediums, 140 STB, and a 1390. From Hugh, we have an E100, E5X, Cent AX, 2 140s, 122, and a 1390. And with this lineup, as you can see, it's Checkmate is definitely going for the west side of the map. definitely. I mean, I guess they will have to at some time try and brute force this. There's not much else you can do. You bring in the extra heavy for the extra 8 points, so you can actually take a tiny bit of damage. The 100 shot goes out, bounces, I guess, or misses, and he takes a tiny bit of damage for that. This is going to be really hard for Checkmate, though. They actually need to pull around and see if they can focus out that E100 really quick and either pull back or just continue pushing. Looks like they are trying to just continue pushing. Do not know what this front E5 is doing, though. Hugging one tank in a competitive match is not a good idea if you have tanks shooting from behind. 57 is getting out good damage, though. Going on his first clip. Looks like Rafidos and a Santa Exo is taking a lot of damage. He goes down. These two mediums should now try and focus Zion, alright? Never mind. Kama goes down from the hill in the back. Damage-wise, it's fairly close at the moment. But of course, Hugh has the advantage of having more tanks than Checkmate at the moment. See a lot of damage coming in on the E100. And the damage swings a lot into the favor of Hugh. They should really have no problem cleaning this out. They have a lot more mediums that have a lot more power to rotate around Hugh, or around Checkmate. And looks like this 57 might be able to pick up Lopez in his E5 up. Nope, he also seemed to. 57 now shells, 20 seconds until he is clipped, and he doesn't have the time to do it, he just dies. And Hugh picks up their second defense. Right then, damage. Yeah, decent amount coming out from the U tanks. Definitely. Besides 3100, of course, but he's just acting like a meat shield to make Checkmate take as long as possible, then stay in a bad as a position as possible, and need as much damage as possible before they can actually move on to any other target.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of going as I predicted here with the both teams picking up their defensive rounds.
Yep.
So, not too far out of the expected so far. We'll have to see which team is the better team when it comes to Rurenberg from the looks of it.
I mean, maybe I should do this thingy here on you remember. Anyway, it's basically just a normal 1-2 push, bringing heavies at the bottom here from Checkmate and going with the mediums on top, trying to take out this in the back. The heavies got focused out really bad from the beginning, and yeah, Checkmate they just eat too much damage. Possibly missed shots. Did not have really good vision on it, but yeah.
Checkmate doesn't know what to do on this map from the attacking side, so
I mean,
so far all they've done is just been YOLOing around and hoping that they kind of catch out their opponent, which hasn't worked.
I mean, I guess they're trying to be more aggressive, but I would say the beauty with this map, I mean, you can YOLO like this, but you will most likely always lose against a team that has. I mean, it doesn't even have to be the better team. They just need to know the positions they're playing. Then you will most likely lose to them. Because there is so much ground you need to cover to pick out tanks if they have them positioned in the right spots. Anyway.
So now going into this fourth game here, we have Hugh on offense again, 2e5s, double bats, 2 action X, 1-140, 251 with Checkmate bringing the 50B again, 2e5s, bat chat, double STB, and the 1390. So they brought the same defense, but Hugh this time they're going to be changing it up.
Yeah, I mean they're probably not going to do their aggressive under the hill.
I don't know. They're pushing PR Felipe right up off the start in the beginning. They've pushed Tiago up in a supporting position here. These are some of the angles that I was talking about with getting shots up towards this hill through the buildings, and then they're having the other bat chat go out and scout the south east. So he's going to dump on Cap here, and he's going to immediately start trying to pull a reaction from Checkmate and force them to deal with the Cap. Now, one of the things with Muravanka, which we never really ended up touching on, is how there's only one real spot that you can put single tank on Cap and have it where he can't be punished by the tanks over here in G1.
Yep, 2 STBs. I mean,
Yep.
you can put him in. All right, they're actually pushing with STBs to get the spots onto the Cap.
Yeah, they're just going to push him up onto the backside of the buildings here, and he'll be pretty safe with... oh, he took one shot from Techno.
Looks like they're being really, really aggressive. Actually, okay, they're pulling off since they got the reset. The RU got off.
Yeah, so they're not really under any pressure anymore, and we're actually going to see the 1390 and the bat chat from Checkmate swinging around through the middle of the town here, trying to get up in behind. They're going to spot out the bat chats and the rest of the team, and this is actually looking like Hughes. They're bringing their bat chats in closer. They might just try dumping into this.
Yeah, it kind of looks on the
they're
positioning
missing
that
2 tanks.
They have. I mean, they're missing the 90 plus the bat in the back.
Yeah, bat chats, they're coming up over the top. They're going to try and pick out RSH here.
Robes should spot them, though. They should be lit at least. So they should have shots.
They should honestly just be going in, having all these tanks sitting off here in the back. Like Lopez being so far out there,
he's taking really a lot of punishment for this. Rope seems to be out, 3090 seems to be out, they're on a clip. Should be fine actually to move in here though. Looks like Hughes autoloaders are also out, Tiago and Zion.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a sloppy push from you there. They needed to keep their constant fire tanks alive, so having the 1E5 push in by himself, and that was BR Felipe. It really didn't work out so well for them. He died before they even got any of their first bits of damage off, so it'll be interesting to see how they can kind of clean this up. Checkmate only has 3 tanks left. They might end up, actually looks like they're going to end up losing here because the 1390 he's caught out between a 140 and a 62A. Robes, he's getting picked off by all the rest of the tanks because he's now alone.
I mean, what happened was that Robes plus the 90 focused on autoloader tanks, and no one else was shooting at them at the time. I think Zion or Tiago took 1 or 2 shots from something else, but they did not focus them out before they got off their entire clips. So what happened then was they could just get away, reload, get new clips, and then get into the fight again, which is really bad if you are on the defending side. You need to get those autoloaders out preferably before they can preferably before they can just empty their clips. And if you can't do that, then you need to kill them whilst they're on the reload so they can't come in again.
I feel like there were a lot of things that went wrong that game because Hugh had an E5 push in the beginning and he kind of died for nothing. And then they were down 2000 HP. And then it swung back around where they basically didn't lose a single tank after that. And they just cleaned up what was left of Checkmate. So
I mean, I mean, they went in and they kind of just focused out the constant fire tanks right away. They didn't really give, they didn't really focus at the AMX-50. Or they know the band was in the city on the 3090, and they were, I mean, they didn't really care too much. They were just trying to focus out the E5s and everything below them. Basically, constant fire tanks that could swing the battle for Checkmate when the 2 bats plus the 2 bats from Hugh was on clip when they clipped out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to say what Hugh did wrong there even though things worked out for them and it went right. It's hard to say what went wrong for Checkmate because they were up so much to begin with, and they had their two tanks out of the fight, but then because they were up a tank, it like that's one of those games where you need to sit back down, watch the replay again, see where every little thing went wrong. Because in reality, when you pick up a tank first like that, even though you're kind of out two tanks, they're both your autoloaders, they can just come screaming right back in, clip out two tanks, or clip out a tank between the two of them, and then all of a sudden you're right back into the fight.
I mean, you had that 140 that was sitting, I think, was sitting somewhere in the house as just pumping out a lot of damage. What I would say is that uh, from the experience of watching the battle only, hard keeping track of all the tags, but it seemed like Checkmate kind of spread the damage over all the different tanks of Hugh.
Yeah,
That's why it
focus
actually
fire could
looked
be.
yeah, I mean that's actually why it looked kind of good in the beginning because they were up in HP. But when the autoloaders for Checkmate was out, they didn't have enough firepower to keep all the tanks of Hugh at bay, and they just basically ran over them, focused out everything at the bottom, and then it was just basically just cleanup.
Yeah, I mean, that game there was kind of a bit of a mess, and we can't really say too much bad about Hugh because Hugh was able to pull that situation back to it. And even though they kind of had one of their tanks go ahead too far, like it's hard to sit here and say that timing wise, Felipe when he went in and died first, he was actually pretty bang on with his timing. If he would have had some more support at the time when he went in, it probably would have been a much closer fight, especially if the two bat chats had maybe gone in a little bit sooner or committed more. I mean, they got up on top of the hill, put 2 rounds each or whatever into the 50B, and then started shooting off into the STBs in the back, and maybe a little bit more coordination from them. But it was M. Lopez being the other E5 who was off in the back and wasn't like he was like 30 seconds late to the fight,
Yeah.
and
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, it could have gone better for them. Um, I mean, I don't really know what. I mean, Checkmate, they were kind of clumped up too much. Hugh was in a much better position positionally on the map with being able to come around Checkmate and basically picking what tank they wanted to focus out first. While Checkmate, more or less, sitting down in the bowl with I think it was one or two tanks, somewhat closer to the top, needed to turn their guns way too much to be able to pick a tank to focus out.
yep. Yeah,
And
so we're now going to be going on to Runeberg with you being up on a 3-1 lead. They were able to pick up that last attacking round there, so good on them.
yeah,
And they're going to have the advantage here. I don't know which team is going to be starting on defense first.
no
Runeberg,
idea.
another one of those maps. In the EU region at the beginning of the season, none of the teams liked attacking on Runeberg. What they would do is they would bring a tier 8 Artie, the M4043, and then they'd have the Artie try and get them an opening. And if you didn't get the opening, well, then they'd just drop the round and move on to the next one. But if you got them the opening, then they would be able to pick up the round. So the meta kind of changed a little bit, and on A, it never felt like that. Teams always maybe NA now has a better understanding from it at a tier 10 level than what EU did in the beginning, but EU did start to shift towards a much more balanced meta for the map. I mean, even if like right now I just pulled up the map statistics over here on the WGLNA fantasy website, and defense has a 60% win rate, and the attacking team has a 40% win rate. So it still is a biased map towards the defense, but it's still one of those complex maps where if a team is really good at attacking, they will work you down from a lot of different angles. They will know when to be aggressive, when to sit back, and
I
it
mean,
can.
they're kind of similar, I would say, in the way that they need to be played, the two maps, Muro and and Runberg, because it has a lot to do with rotations. And like you said, if you're playing against a good team, they will work you down, and they will use the time usually pretty good to rotate around the map and yeah, get shots at what they can scout out.
Yep. I mean, up on the strat sketch here, Ruinberg is another one of those difficult maps that's easy to break down with all its different spots because there's so many different ways people can play. You're gonna have people, and there's generally always someone from the attacking team playing in town. You'll have people coming back into the south. They can approach this way. They can approach this way. They can come here through this. They can even go around the cap and then not even set it off if they want to be super aggressive. Like we've just seen so much this season out of Ruinberg that it's really one of those maps, or it's another one of those maps that can be difficult to break down. So what we have here, green, is the defensive team. They'll generally throw tanks up towards the zero line, maybe someone up here in these buildings. They'll have about 2 tanks watching the A line up in these buildings. We started to see more this season.
I don't know. I mean, I don't. 2 tanks. I would say more 1.
Well, it's generally 1 heavy tank and then some kind of scout.
Yeah.
Or like Object 432 is a favorite one teams want to put in there, or the 1390. If the 1390 can make it off into this corner, he can almost get off a free full clip before he gets snapshot to death by all the Russian mediums.
Yeah, I mean, he's fairly safe in there if they don't know he's there, of course. He will not really get lit, even if he shoots, depending on the distance to the probable Russian mediums.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all how you want to play the map, like you said.
There's so many approaches now. Like I would actually have to say the map became more viable in tier 10 than it was in tier 8.
Yeah,
I feel like
I mean, the accuracy over range is the biggest thing, I think, and the
well, it's
possibility to
accuracy
bring.
over range, and it's also how firepower came like ramped up. I mean, back in 754, the one cap was not as viable as it is now in 768, and that's because you can still lose half your health to get up into A6, A7, being the attackers with medium tanks, and it's how firepower has ramped up a lot better going up in the tiers. So you can have a low health tank still put out an insane amount of damage, where a low health tank in 754 was basically a T54 lightweight, and he has decent armor, but it's not really good armor. Then he didn't really have the gun depression for playing up on his backside, so you generally just get shut down by IS3s if there was a low health tank, because he wouldn't be able to do enough damage fast enough. But with how tier 10 is, having just a low health tank just keep himself alive can be worth his weight in gold.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the other one here is what you'll see is some teams, they will try and rush down this way to the E7 area and play off of that. But that's kind of uncommon. The most common thing you'll see is either one person from the defensive team going behind the fountain here, or he'll commit all the way down to E7. E7 works out better for countering out south play, but if a tank gets caught out in E7 and they do north play, you can honestly have like the attacking team, they'll come up this way, they'll stop on this backside, and they will murder this tank so fast. Like, he has no time to get into cover. His only sense of close cover is either derping up and over this way as soon as he sees it, or pushing into the town here. And in reality, they're both bad options because there's so many ways you can be punished for doing so.
I mean, it's kind of a, I would say, the job of. Oh, you need to give me permissions to do something on this.
Oh, I
Sketch.
do,
That'd
don't
be
I?
awesome.
There you go.
Thank you, Kuta. It's much to the vision of the 1 or 2 tank guild up here to have these guys lit, so you know this is happening. So it gives enough time for this guy to point his armor towards the north, and for these guys that you probably have in town here to point their guns up here. Because if
Yep.
you do not see these guys when they peek over to possibly kill this guy if you have a guy there, yeah, he's just gone. It's a horrible spot to be in when they have control over the little north part of the map
Honestly,
here.
with how it's changed, I'd even go so far as to say that like don't even take the time to point your frontal armor towards them. Just get out of there and then just re-engage from somewhere else.
I mean, it can be hard to do also if the attacking team leaves something towards on this line and the town, because then you're no matter where you go, you're pulling into at least 1 or 2 tanks.
Yep.
I mean, it depends a little bit on what you think you can do and what tank you're in specifically. I mean, you can see IS-7s and 215Bs, maybe 5s even, down in this little green
Yep.
number 3
And that's
triangle.
why in reality this spot here is a lot safer because it gives you a lot of hard cover. Like if you're here, you're basically safe from this. You can still get vision, you can still get shots into here, but you won't be able to light down this line.
I mean, you're not safe from there, but it's a much harder shot to make. You have to go up a tiny bit higher over here, but it's still doable. I
And
mean, you have
you also
turret
have to
shots, but
realize
that's
that
about it.
you can actually be sniped from here down to here without lighting the mediums that are here. Whereas if they are trying to shoot you while you're here, you are letting them, and they're having to expose themselves more like enough to the point where it's easier to get punish on them from your tanks that are in this town as they try to come back and deal with the one cap play.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, both are good. I mean, there's both good things with both positions. Um, the more aggressive one, the triangle down here, is of course better if they are specifically playing for 2 cap, because this generally has somewhat easy. You can basically, as soon as you know they're going for 2 cap, if this guy just moves over down here, I mean, they shuts down the entirety of 2 cap,
Yeah,
pretty
he even
much.
gets good shots up onto the mediums that'll use the hills up in here.
Yeah.
And when he is in this position, like, it's a really powerful position if the enemy is in the south. If they're in the north, it's spontaneously this position that you never want to be in. So it's kind of like this double-edged sword where it can be really effective or it can fall apart horribly.
Yep.
Um, and like he can get vision down and along here, so seems like bringing an IS-7 because this entire slope down through here, like it's the downhill slope, so the IS-7 can get here really fast, and he will be able to light heavy tanks coming out across here. 215B,
I don't think
he,
he'll light them all the way back, but he will definitely light them when they're coming up at about this area.
it depends upon where he sits. Like, yeah, it's a bit like he won't
Oh,
light them
you're
back here,
talking
but
about
if they
this
come up,
position right here, sitting here.
well, no, he can get to here, or he can even get to here. Like that, but going here off the beginning is more of a YOLO-esque spot.
I mean, if they have something sitting in the middle, you're gonna be punished. So I mean,
Yeah,
don't
but
do
there's
that.
like, don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, no, you get vision down into this area here, so if the enemy team, they can either come out this way, which is a little bit safer for their heavy tanks, but it can take more time, or they can come this way, try and cut the corner, and risk getting lit and getting shot by this person here.
I mean, the time it takes for the heavy to move here to here, if they want something right here, you're more or less getting lit as soon as you pull this here. So you probably should not get shot at. I mean, it happens depending tiny bit on the starting locations for attacking and defending team, but most of the time you do something like that, you should be fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as for the attacking side really has three approaches to the map. They can go to the north, straight up the middle, or down to the south.
I mean,
And
I wouldn't say that straight up middle with tiered hands is that good.
it works. I'd actually have to say it works better because if you can get the overmatch in this town here, you can just wreck an enemy team as they're trying to slowly bring their tanks back one by one.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, the thing is, then you're gonna be bringing mostly mediums, and then it's gonna. I mean, the things you're bringing
They need to
always
be the higher.
flags what you will do to the other team to a certain degree. I mean, bring in a mix of heavies and mediums, I would say is probably the best thing to do on this map, because that means that you can go wherever, really.
Yep.
But just if the enemy team sees a lot of mediums, I mean, I would just say they're just going to group up somewhere and just wait for you to push into them, because that's what you need to do, and that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, Ruinberg does have this name called Derpenberg, and you can derp around this map and find success with it. Especially with how Tier 10 is played out, like the North American meta is very exposed to a more Derpenberg approach to Ruinberg, simply
Yeah.
because they'll sprinkle tanks out in along here, they'll sprinkle 1 or 2 tanks in town, and if you were to all of a sudden show up in some place with 7 tanks, there's not much they can really do about it.
Oh, you mean as from the attacking side or defensive side? I mean,
From both sides. If a team leaves 2 tanks here in the north and you can get a good cross like this up into this town, you can honestly just clean up this town because you have so much DPM with your group of Russian mediums.
I mean, it always
You
depends
can derp up this way.
on how good a caller is also. Generally, if someone does that, you kind of want to let them have 0 line plus possibly a decent amount of the 9 line, because then it becomes kind of a just try and have vision of them as much as possible and wait for them to either try and push into you, possibly take 0, or put something on cap. If they put something on cap, of course, you can just move these tanks you have up here, or 1 tank, and then basically try and either take an overmatch in the city or the little town up here, or just try and reset, and then most likely have a since you should have more heavies, most likely have a little bit of an HP advantage, and yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Ruinberg's
2 minutes
very
left.
Yeah, I was gonna
Make
say
sure you're ready
it'd be
up.
a straightforward map. With is a very tactical map, and it's a map that's really grown on me over the season, over the past few seasons, really. And I've really come down to enjoy it from a player and from a calling perspective. There's just so many options you can do, so many mind games, different meta games, and it's really is one of those fantastic maps. Like, I'm perfectly fine with maps being more weighted to one team than the other, because it then comes down to, like, it's still which team plays better. Because if you can pick up the attacking round, then you're forcing your opponent to try and pick up their attacking round. So it's still a fair and balanced game. So I have no problems with maps that are a little bit more one-sided like Ruinberg, and I think it's actually a wonderful map to play. What are your thoughts on the map, Ertai?
I don't know. It's I don't know. Generally I did not like it in tier 8s. It became kind of stale in how it was played.
The
I would
Russian
say though,
bunker.
yeah. I mean,
That became meta for the map.
yeah. In tier 10s though, since I mean, tier 10s is new for the season, of course, and it opens up more of a fluidity to the map, and I would say also specifically the 2 tanks limits, well, 2 per tank limit that any region have this season, which I mean, I've been a proponent of since the first season of Gold League, because it opens up possibilities with tank lineups, and it forces you not to only be good at playing just like 3 or 4 tanks, but it forces you to have a deeper knowledge of tanks generally.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're now into our 5th game here, with you being up 3-1 over Checkmate. Winner of this is almost securing themselves the 8th place position, but it would be a race between them and Tactical YOLO for that final spot. So we're going to be coming in here seeing Hugh. They're going to have the defensive advantage first.
I was going to say, wow, like, that is a lot of heavies. A lot of
Ooh,
heavies from Hugh.
A
I
lot of
mean, even
heavies.
a lot of heavies from, I would say, Checkmate. That is,
Those HP pools, 15,000 to 15,000. Yeah,
yeah,
we've got Hugh. They're bringing 113, 150B, 2215Bs, IS4, IS7, and RU251. We have Checkmate with the 215B, one IS7, two Object 260s, one E5 Conqueror, and an M46 Patton. Both teams, 6 heavy tanks, just one with a medium, and the other one's with Tier 8 Scout.
yeah. It looks like Checkmate is pulling everything south, and it looks like Hugh is pulling everything but the IS4 south. So, I
Yep,
mean,
I mean,
just looking at this, it actually looks pretty good for Hugh. Um, they should have scouted with the RU every heavy coming in at the moment. I think the Checkmate
yeah.
they just need to
Well, Checkmate's
push
lit.
this.
Yeah, and Matt Knight's rotating over, so they've got about a 20-second window, I would say, from now. But with you already having so many tanks up in the Delta Village, this is a really hard fight for Checkmate to try and bring.
Yeah.
I feel like their approach to this map is we're just gonna go heavy, and
Yeah.
we're just gonna get up in you or get up in front of you
Felipe is
and
taking a
crawl
lot
out
of
this
damage
town.
down here on the 0 line. If Checkmate can slow this down and work this IS-7 out, I mean, they have a really, really good shot. And they're also pushing the Conqueror plus the 215B in the middle. I think that
They
if
might
they
be
use,
dumping.
yeah, if they just slow this down, poke out this IS-7 with a one-shot now for all the tanks, and then focus on the IS-4 in the middle, they actually have a really good chance of taking it as well until they lost the 260. That is not
Yeah,
good
their
for them.
260 goes down, and BR Felipe, he's still back there. He's a one-shot for every tank on this battlefield right now. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how long he's going to be able to survive back there. IS-7, fantastic armor in this situation, but what we actually have is Dorze and Kama going in on Matt Knight here. Matt Knight's going to go down, but not before he picks up the Conqueror.
That's my
And
sugar down there. He goes, yeah.
yeah, he's getting a good bit of damage in on the 215B. He gets a fire roll, so that's going to be almost an extra free
Really good
100 damage for
damage
him.
lead though on Hugh. I mean, more than double the hit points at the moment.
Oh, at this point, they're just pushing in with their 4 remaining heavy tanks. And they're just going to get the kill onto the T110E5. Then they're going to probably look at picking up Dorzier and then over here to pick up RSH.
Yes.
And Felipe, he's still alive back here in his IS-7. That armor holding up. It'll be interesting to see that damage blocked by armor.
I don't think I don't think he blocked that much. They just left him after he was down there. I don't even think they. I mean, they should have enough. This 46 should have been able to scout him, but I don't think they had anything in position to actually damage him. So I think they just said, forget about him for now. Let's try and focus the other tanks, which I mean, this is a huge mistake. I mean, again, you're leaving a tank alive that's just putting out damage. And since it's down that many, I think he was down below 10%, which means that he has an even
Uh,
quicker reload.
I think he was actually... He was 211 hit points, so yes, he was just under 10%.
Yeah, as you can see, it didn't really block more than 2 shots. So kind of looked like they just said, forget about him for now. And
But
yeah,
he did receive 7, 5 of those penned, 2 of those didn't pen, then they just stopped shooting him. So
yeah,
they got him down to a one-shot, then just left him alone. It's one of those hard decisions to make because you really want to preferably kill the I-7 before he gets down there. And then once he was down there, he was a one-shot, and his armor becomes absolutely immaculate off in that corner.
yes. Oh,
It's just a shame that they never actually got off the kill. I mean,
yeah.
you can go through the damage stats there. I'll draw up the strat sketch.
Yeah, I mean, decent amount of damage out of the actually really good damage out of the M46. I mean, he was sitting back sniping the entire time, and of course, 215Bs, high DPM on those, so not surprising that they would actually do that much damage. I remember to ready up also. Let's see now. First get quick
Yep.
again.
Yeah, I mean, what this more or less was is to say arguably some bad focus fire coming out of Checkmate, with them shooting the IS-7 and then failing to kill him. And what happened here, like, Checkmate dumped 2 tanks to kill the IS-4, and they took a bit of punish for doing so, because the IS-7 was trying to help out with this fight here, so he was focusing out the Conqueror with the IS-4 and the RU-251. And when they were doing this, like, it was going well for them, but they just lost too much HP up here in these trades, and then once this fight was over, they had already lost all their tanks here, and that was just kind of the end of the game there. So
Yeah.
I think it was more just bad poking, failure to focus out, kill certain tanks.
I mean, what they need to do
And
is just play passive up here until they focused out this IS-4, and this IS-7 was critical. I mean, they just needed to commit the 46 over to just kill him. I mean, they just need to kill him. Just take the damage and kill him. Anyway, though, next battle has started, so we're going
back into the game. A different approach here really coming out from both teams. I mean, not as much heavies this time. So this time we have HU. Yes, waffles. But first,
bat shots from
two
HU.
and 5Bs. Yeah, 2 bat chats. But yeah, so HU, 2 FE215Bs, IS-7, bat chat 25T, Waffentrager LC100, AMX CDC.
CDC.
Then as for
that is a good
CDC.
one. I don't understand why you would bring it. I mean, you lose a lot of vision. You just bring an RU or something else instead. I don't.
I think I
do,
know.
Do you know the pens and everything on it, or?
It's like 225 on with AP, 269 with APCR. But I think I know why he's here, and this is something we were doing a little bit in some Roomba practices, which you'll be most likely seeing here.
Is it that
it's
just as a block?
He's just meant to die for the 2 bat chats, giving them some immaculate cover.
I mean, he can't block 2 of them though. And the plan is kind of gets spoiled, I guess.
Yep, but I mean, gonna go quickly over here. The lineup for Checkmate: 2-2-5s, IS-7, STB, T-22, Waffentrager, and then the RU-251. Interesting pickup being the STB. I guess he's meant to be playing off on the 8, which could possibly work out for their favor, but there's not really that many shots from there how the map generally plays out right now.
Yeah, I don't understand that pick either, really.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you.
This might be really...
The CDC is going to come up here. He's stopping. The 2 bat chats are going to pull up right up on his right. Just remove the T-22. And then the CDC dies. He just becomes cover for the bat chats.
Yeah, I mean, they're still getting...
It's just Matt Knight. Matt Knight, don't pull forward.
They just need to just stay behind him and just get dark. And then
and they're going to do that. They are now basically up a tank or up a tier 10 in this situation. Yep. Checkmate is now going to be bringing over the Waffentrager LC100 RU. He's rotating back around. Zion here in his Waffentrager LC100. He's off in the town. Will he get Dorzier, or will he try and get out the
IS-7's got the reset though. It looks like the RU is going to find this Waffen in town. Let's see what the Waffen decides to do if he wants to push him and clip him out.
Fired
it looks
2.
like his.
I just don't know if he has the 3rd for killing off the RU.
Doesn't look like you want to take this. Nope.
No.
This is actually quite bad. It actually looks like Hugh is playing really aggressive in town. Let's see if we can get up in time for this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going to be pushing in pretty hard here with these 2 bat chats, try and clean up some of the high DPM tanks like the STV-1. Right now, they're clipping into the Waffle, so he's going to have a hard time now trying to come out and punish.
I think the Waffle has gotten on most of his shots, though. I mean, there are a tank up here with the heavy going down to 215B. They're actually kind of pushing. It seems like the bat chats they're out of shells. This is not a good position at all at the moment for Hugh. They're just going to lose a lot of hit points here with Felipe actually also going down here to the 215s in the front and the IS-7 coming in from the back.
Well, I mean, with the Waffle and the bat chat not having any shells, it was more like the IS-7 was the only tank left alive for Hugh in that situation. I mean, they still have 2 high damaging auto-loading tanks, but they don't have enough damage between the 2 of them in order to even do this. So they're going to have to get off multiple clips here. The bat chat's really going to have to pull in his worth here. He still has 1,800 hit points, so there's a lot of stuff he can do if they can pick up the RU in the middle. But Checkmate recognizing this, Yeah.
See if the
they're
batch actually
stack-
commits on this. He might actually lose a tiny bit of hit points, but maybe it's actually worth it to pick up the RU.
Oh no, he's gonna lose a fair bit
No,
here.
RU is in cover. Oh,
I'm
at
surprised
least
he only took one shell between Stalker in his 2-on-5 and Nuisance in his IS-7. But Door, he's gonna get out, and now will you try and go across the red line and then get up into the north, or are they going to try back going through the south?
I mean, the only way they can win this is if they get off their entire clips into Checkmate and then reload and get up the entire clips again. I would say that from the positioning of Checkmate, I mean,
From onto the IS-7, he's going to have a bad time. Teo, looks like he was possibly lit with how Soccer is trying to shift over for an angle. He's going to get lit here, and he's probably going to take some damage.
I mean, Checkmate knows that they at least have the bat in the south.
Yeah.
They know then the Waffle is not sitting in city now with the RU playing so aggressive. Looks like no, RU is turning. He's just gonna sit the corner. We'll scout the Waffle. He will probably go down. Yeah, there he goes.
Teo, he
I
kind
mean,
of sloppy play from him.
I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. I mean, it's a minute 20 left, so even if the bat plus the Waffle gets all their shells out, everything does damage, they are not gonna have enough time to most likely kill all this.
Nope. So at least we're going to see another chance here for Checkmate to get back into this. But they're down 4-2. They have to win every single game from here on out. And maybe Hughes players realize this, but they've kind of given up a little bit. They the
I
batch
would
out
say
there.
they tried.
Yeah, they tried
they,
for a
they
bit.
did the wrong approach though. They went back to the city, tried to get the Waffle shooting down the middle road instead of trying to eliminate as many angles as possible and engage on a tanks that were sort of clustered in one area without having the possibility of getting too much help from anywhere really. I don't know if Cyan has any shots left.
Well, he will here in 9 seconds, as I just saw his reload timer.
Oh,
But
switching over
with the
to
amount
him.
of tanks closing right on in, he's probably only going to get off maybe 1-2 more shots.
Yep. Poof. Smoke. Fire. The Waffle goes.
And death.
Yeah, death. Right. Let's see damage-wise here then. Cyan actually picking up a decent amount of damage. Rafu does though not any. I guess he got focused out fairly early. Happens. Shooting on a move in any tank is can be quite. I mean,
Yeah, I think
you're hit or you're not hit. It's all up to RNG.
Yeah, he was deleted by Camp. I think he found a very unfortunate end.
Oh yeah. He was deleted by the Waffle on the other side. Yes. I mean,
Yep.
like we always say, it's terrible pulling around a corner anywhere, and you see a Waffle aiming at you.
Hands off the keyboard. Just well, my
Yep.
game's over.
Anyway, strat sketch.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw that time there, I'm not really gonna like Checkmate. They played it very well. They just held on with their defense. They didn't really have to do that much. They sent the one T-22 down here off to this corner, and he was picked up by the 2 bat chats there, and then up there with that. Yeah, I mean, basically what the CDC did is he died, he became a meat shield for his 2 bat chats to get the free kill on this T-22, at which point the 2 bat chats can then stop, clip up as your heavy tanks work their way to these buildings, and then you just push and lead in with your bat chats, and you go for the kill. I mean, that's kind of the approach of the strat. The Waffle back here in town, he fired 2 or 3 shots up towards the size 7 before the RU came in on him.
Ready up if you're not readied up. I guess you don't have enough time.
I've already readied up. And he just got his shots off. And then the town fight kind of just went bad because the Waffle... You focused the Waffle of Checkmate, which didn't really work out so well because the Waffle killed the
already doesn't look good for Checkmate, actually, as you can see here on the screen.
Whoa.
I don't know. I think they tried to switch to tanks just as the battle timer went off. Yeah, not a good idea. I mean,
Well, I don't
I
know
don't
how
really know
much
what to
there's going
say.
to be to
This is going to be,
cast.
yeah.
There's not much to cast here. It's
It's
a
almost a
5v7.
death loss for this. I mean, you're down so much in hit points and in
They are
firepower.
down 5,000 HP at the start of this game. 4,000 really.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing they can do, and I think that they're trying to do, is that they're just gonna try a fast cap. So always sad when this happens. I mean, they already got an IS4 in place for this, so
Yeah, actually, if the T-22 realizes this, that he's the only tank there, he can get some punish up on his IS-4, then maybe able to
yeah.
get a free kill on Matt Knight.
Yeah, I mean, they really need to try and focus them out just really as quick as they can, to be honest. They can't really be sitting around for this.
Nope, it's just unfortunate that Matt Knight so far has only, like, he hasn't done a single point of damage onto any of these tanks, so.
I mean, he's shooting HE in the front plate of, or the front armor of an IS-7, so I mean that won't
HE?
even. I thought I saw an 8. Yeah, he's definitely shooting HE. There you go.
Oh,
Did a little bit of damage.
now he's shooting HE. Yeah, I mean, rather unfortunate.
Oh,
He's gonna end up
Swaffle
taking this
focused
game.
out right away.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be done, so.
Oh yeah, I mean, even if you're Waffle, you're pulling around the corner and you see another Waffle. You're not having a good day.
But actually,
I mean, it's
the
actually
situation here,
fairly
it's
close
gone.
for the damage. For
Yeah, I
all
was
the
gonna
tanks that was
say
down.
they brought it. Okay, well now it's back 5,000 HP disadvantage.
Yeah.
So for a while there, they brought the gap to 3,000, and then it just all disappeared. So even with losing the waffle there, with the waffle basically doing 0 damage, it.
I think he got off 2 shots at least, maybe 3. Not really.
Yeah, not really the best out of waffle.
I mean,
what can you say in this situation? What like?
I don't know. Shit happens. And that's why you should never try when you're that. Even if you don't have the right tanks that you are thinking about actually bringing. I mean, it's better to bring a tank than not bringing a tank. Yeah. I don't know. A little bit sad. I mean, it was a fairly decent battle, or battles otherwise. So a little bit sad they had to end this way, but Hugh picks it up, and yeah.
I mean, not much more to say. The Hue player is already leaving, so they're just going to take it as is. Not much can really be done with how the system's set up for these battles.
Yeah.
So Hue will just end up taking up the win there, 5-2. Rather unfortunate for Checkmate, but nothing is really going to be done for them in this situation. It's in the rules.
I mean, it's one of those things when you're not having a anyone to moderate a room for you, for example, when it's with this automatic tournament system. You kind of, I mean, the timing between the battles might be a tiny bit short. I mean, it's 2 minutes between them, but you should always try and have your tank selected and ready up at least 30 seconds before the battle starts. So this doesn't happen to you. Anyway, though, let's see what actually happened. Yeah, Waffle got out 2 shots before he just got focused on. Most likely, okay, probably, I don't know. He's got focused up a lot. He just vanished. I'm guessing Waffle plus every other tank that's basically was sitting on the corner shot him as soon as he got spotted.
Yep. So one good thing for Hugh here is I just saw the results. Z-Fox E-Ladies picking up a 5-0 win against Tactical YOLO, which standings-wise, they are now tied for battles lost. So if Hugh
with
loses next week and
with
Tactical
who?
YOLO wins, then this is going to be an extremely close race between the two of them because Hugh's only behind on one battle won. So actually, no. If Tactical YOLO wins next week and Hugh doesn't win, then Tactical YOLO will be taking that spot. So Checkmate technically not out of the race just yet. If they were to win next week, they can still secure the last position in the playoffs. It's just I don't know. Not likely with them going up against Get Flanked. So
Yeah, I mean, out of the matches we've been streaming, if you're talking about teams that have been impressing most, I mean, Get Flanked definitely one of them.
yeah, Get
Oh
Flanked,
wait,
Ninja
no,
Close, and
Envy. I mean, but Get
yeah,
Flanked
I was
still
gonna
though.
say,
I mean, I would say not too bad player. Although, I mean, they played Envy, I do believe, last time. So playing the top one team in the league, in any league, is kind of a daunting task.
yep.
Or wait, no, it was you know last stream was
Our
it
last
pathetic
stream,
pathetic versus Get Flanked, wasn't it?
yeah, and
Yeah, so
Pathetic
never mind. Yeah,
had
then
a
Get Flanked decently impressing, I'd say.
yep. Yeah, no, the three top teams right now are going to be Envy, Danger Close, Get Flanked. I would really say any one of those teams can win it all here in the Silver League. So it's really just going to be which one shows up on their game nights.
Yeah. Pretty much. So now, do they have how many more matches do each team have?
One more match night, so there's about 3 points left for any team to win this season
So it's
or to
basically
get
just
this
Monday
season.
then, and then it's playoffs.
Monday and then playoffs. Yes, I don't think playoffs. I don't believe start until the following week though, so they're going to end up having Wednesday off.
Hmm.
Um, I will talk with Dance later on tonight about playoffs and how it's working for this season.
Yeah. I mean, guess we will see how that goes when we get to that.
Yep.
Should be hopefully be fun. Yep, fun.
Oh yeah,
Stream.
playoffs will be really exciting to see, especially once some of the top teams start playing off against each other. It'll be great to see the picks and bans, especially the tank picks and bans, because that really adds a lot of depth
You
to
mean banning
some of the
of
game.
maps or?
In Silver League, how playoffs work is it's all happening in the training room, and how they do their picking of tanks because they don't have a 60-second counter time down is one team will choose two tanks. Like the defensive team picks two tanks first, then the offensive team will pick two tanks, then the defensive team picks two, offense two, defense two, offense two, then the defense picks one tank, and then the offense picks one tank.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's how it's gonna work. So what you'll end up is teams getting to see each other's lineup before they go in, and they can kind of make little adjustments. Like, do they want to bring Artie on an open map or something like that? So it'll be this really cool, interesting metagame to see as we get to cast those games. And
I mean, a picking metagame isn't even in gold. Well, to a certain, I mean, it's not really a picking metagame. It's more of a like if, for example, if you want to bring artillery, it's most likely going to tier 8, so you're going to have the tier 8 player most likely ready to jump into an artillery or in a tier 8 light. Well, it depends on map, of course, also. But if you want to bring an artillery, and then you're usually looking for a little bit of a heavier lineup from the other team. I mean, with the picking, I mean, you can just surprise the enemy. Well, I mean, it's much as a surprise in both kind of formats, either with the countdown or the picking. But you have a much longer time to discuss if you actually want to bring an artillery instead of like on the fly kind of deciding to bring one. And you can, of course, work your strategy easier around the artillery if you kind of know you're bringing it before.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'll be really exciting. I mean, it was fun last season, the playoffs, to sit there and be dealing with that, because we'd be sitting there and playing Lakeville, and with how Lakeville works is whichever team brought more heavies can just bully the other team out of the southeast. So you'd be sitting there and it'd be like, how many heavies are you bringing? Well, then I will bump up my heavy tank count by one, and then they'll bump their heavy tank
Yeah,
count
I
by one.
mean, there was I say general meta that is different from Gold League, definitely on both these two maps, on both teams. There is a meta towards more heavier tanks. I mean, heavy tanks are a little bit more. I mean, you lose a lot of rotation and movement out of them, depending, of course, what heavy you bring. Like, say, the 113 is just ridiculous. It's a medium tank almost with heavy armor and medium DPM, close to at least. But usually the tanks that you bring E5s, I7s, I mean, even some IS4, which I wouldn't say is the best tank to bring. Possibly, I mean, it's only for Hugh on the defense on Ruin that they brought it on a specific spot. And even the
Yep.
100s, I mean, yeah, I mean, these are tanks that we don't generally see too many of in Gold League, I guess. Maybe on like Ghost Town, possibly Himmels if that's being played. But in Gold League, you generally want to
IS4.
have a little bit more mobility on your lineups to be able to basically, if you know your enemy is out of, or if they can't cover a specific tank, you want to be able to rotate and pick the tank off, or basically force the enemy to do a bad engagement.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, the IS4, it's one of those tanks that its armor only works at medium range, really. It doesn't have enough armor. No, like, no matter which way you turn, angle, or try to manipulate an IS4's armor on a city map, it will never have enough armor to block shots from all directions. Like, there's always some place that you can always guarantee a pen on an IS4. Um, Same with the T22, and same with some of the other heavy tanks that they're like, their armor is just not good enough. Like, it's good armor if you're missing your shots, but if your shots are going where you're aiming them, then rip that tank. It's not going to bounce anything.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's much we can say about this. Unfortunate for Checkmate. I really would have liked to see that with an additional two tanks actually for the sort of cap fast. They probably would have brought two more mediums, I'd say, to put up into the A village up there. Or
Yeah,
a
they would have
little.
caused a lot of problems. They could have punished. I believe that was Felipe in the IS4 there for what he was trying to do. They could have punished those heavy tanks trying to come around the corner on their tanks. It probably would have worked out fairly well in their favor, because you didn't have enough tanks to actually contest the mediums. So,
Well, they didn't have tanks in the right positions, I would say. The problem with that IS4 and the position it was sitting is that if you push tanks up on top of him, I mean, he cannot hide from anything. Then you basically just have to sit back with a decent amount of tanks, either towards the zero line or in the middle little village up on top to basically just cover your IS4 The problem is then is that usually the attacking team puts 2 to 3 tanks on cap, and you are forced to basically move into them. And as soon as you do, the mediums can just poke out and just wreck that IS-4. So if played correctly, that spot is I mean, it's not good. You need to have something sort of covering that IS-4, sitting more on the A line towards the red line to be able to scout and put damage into the mediums. If you want to do that. I mean,
Oh, danger close in Lincoln Brigade going into overtime. Envy picking up their games 5-3 against Spaghetti Slappers, get flanked, winning 5-1 versus Intensive. And as we said earlier, see Foxy Ladies winning 5-0 against Tactical YOLO. And then the two other teams that weren't mentioned here, they both had
they both had.
no, there's okay. So my mistake. There is 4 other teams that weren't mentioned there. They have all tech wins. That's being Pathetic Gaming, Resistance, Tomato Stealers, and War and Peace.
All right. Guess they had battles against the good teams then, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think that's everything for tonight. And
plugs. You're doing the
you
plugging,
and your
so
plugs.
it's usually you, doesn't
You and your plugs.
sell
Okay,
out.
fine,
Sell
plugs.
out.
Twitter. You can find me over at Twitter on uh at
Viral.
Viral, VYRAALL. I'm working with the community side of wargaming throughout the month of February. Going to be posting some pro tank guides / tips along with some video recordings and stuff like that. You can probably find them up early on my YouTube page, same name. I will post up some random stuff there. I was thinking about uploading some of the weekday warfares that we do, just uploading the entire set. Simply just to show like competitive play and approach, and try and help with maybe a little bit of learning the game for some of the newer players looking to get into tournaments, give them something to watch. It's, I mean, it'd be like hour-long video, but it's something that like World of Tanks, it's not something you can necessarily be taught. It's something you have to learn by yourself and through experiencing all the different approaches, all the different things that can happen. So I sit here and think, is there any way to try and cut this down? It's like, no, not really. You gotta sit there and kind of watch the entire thing if you want to learn. Yeah, so I might be doing that. I don't know. It's kind of an idea. And then we have Urtai here. Urtai, you upload these streams to YouTube, and I have no idea what your YouTube account is. What his Twitter? His Twitter is Urtai Watts.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can find him here on his Twitch. I think he streams randomly. I heard he streams Silver League games. He'll probably be doing the playoffs as well. You should probably follow him.
Wow. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's good, I guess. I guess it's a fairly good time to stand it then.
Yep.
We'll definitely. Oh, yeah, unless unfortunate accidents happen, we are going to be back on Monday with. I have no idea what game we're going to be streaming, but hopefully something that's good.
The game we will most likely end up streaming will be Tactical YOLO versus Tomato Stealers. Actually, yes, we will be streaming that game, I'm pretty sure. I will confirm with Dance now.
So basically, Tactical Tomato YOLO Stealers. That's
Yes.
probably going to be the stream name. Yes, thanks to everybody watching. Got any comments or anything? I mean,
Suggestions, feedback, always welcome.
Yes. Someone is PMing me. Zone, what do you want? Whatever. Yes, like I said, thanks you for watching, and we'll be back on Monday.